If you're a middle-aged person who's been struggling on and off for years with your weight, your fitness, your body image, your strength, your mindset, or if you're totally new, maybe you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, and you realize I got to start taking care of myself and get this body in better condition so I can have a decent second half of life instead of deteriorating. Well, you're in the right place because today your guy, Joey Atlas here, has a good friend, Dr. Joey Munoz, helping me go through what it takes to finally reach success on your body, fitness, and health journey. So we're going to break it down. We're going to go through this very quickly so you get all the important information you need. And Dr. Joey's got an awesome free bonus for us. It's the Fit for Life Blueprint. We're going to give you the link for that toward the end. And if by some chance you feel you're ready for coaching and you have not been able to afford my fees or get into my schedule, Dr. Joey and his team are the people to go see instead of anybody else out there. That's why he's on this podcast. So, with that in mind, Dr. Joey, welcome to the Midlife Muscle Podcast.
Thanks for having me on, man. I think people are going to get confused with the back and forth Joeys.
We're going to call
But
you. We'll call you Dr. Joey. So,
that's
speaking of
a
Dr. Joey,
yeah,
let's give people a quick glimpse about what makes you a doctor. What educational track did you take to earn that doctor in front of your name?
sure. That's a great question. I was going to quickly just say I appreciate the kind words and I appreciate you having me on. And I appreciate you trusting me with your audience, man. It's not something I take lightly. So thanks for having me on, Joey.
Total pleasure.
So what does it take to be a doctor? You have to go to school for a very long time. Jokes aside, my area of expertise is nutrition and body composition improvement. I have my PhD in nutritional sciences, so I'm not a medical doctor by training. I am PhD stands for Doctor of Philosophy,
Right.
and I specify that because oftentimes when people see the title doctor, they immediately think medical doctor. But the truth is, doctor simply just refers to having like the highest degree of education in whatever particular field of study you decide to pursue. And so that area of expertise for me is applied nutrition specifically. So my educational background, I did my undergraduate degree in nutrition and food science with not technically a minor, but I took a ton of classes around exercise physiology, human performance, because I've always been passionate about the training side of things as well. I actually worked as a personal trainer for a number of years, decided to pursue my master's degree in human nutrition, and then did my PhD in human nutrition. So that was 4 years undergrad, a year master's. It's technically 2 years, but I was able to do something called a bypass. Anyway, it's not important. And then I did a PhD for about 4 years. And when you do a PhD, I think the difference between, this is the way that I like to explain it, between all the education that you get up to a PhD versus the education that you get during a PhD is the difference between learning information versus producing information, right? So your whole life you go to school, you take particular courses, you learn information, you take exams, and you prove that you know the information. Well, that information that you're learning is being produced by a group of people, right?
Mm.
And that group of people are PhDs. So when you are doing a PhD, you're essentially being trained to be a scientist, like you are a scientist by training. So during my PhD, I did a ton of work studying the disease preventative effects of different foods. So it's what we would call like the functional benefits of specific foods. So I did some work looking at the atherosclerotic preventative effects of beans. We did some work on blood sugar regulation in diabetics with bitter melon consumption, which is popular in like Eastern Asian countries. And then my dissertation specifically was looking at, and dissertation is just like the thesis essentially that you do during your PhD. I was looking at the bone preventative or bone protective effects of dried plums, prunes. My professor had pretty much dedicated his life to studying bone health and how it relates to nutrition and estrogen. And he had discovered that dried plums are rich in specific nutrients that are beneficial for bone. And he was able to show that in postmenopausal women, it can help slow down the rate of bone loss because osteopenia, osteoporosis is huge. And so we
Right.
were kind of duplicating that study in osteopenic men to see if it had a similar impact. So that was kind of my graduate work there. And then when I finished my PhD, I did a postdoctoral fellow, so it's just a fellowship. It's just a little bit more schooling in a specific area that you're interested in. And like I said, I've always been interested in the sports performance, body composition side of things. And so I did a short postdoctoral fellowship in a lab under a professor. His name's Dr. Michael Ormsby, in like the sports nutrition space. So really looking at protein consumption, pre-bedtime food consumption, and how that impacts things like sleep quality, body composition, etc. And that's a little bit of my educational background. Hopefully that answers the question.
That's perfect. And I appreciate that this big time because I know my audience appreciates learning the different types of backgrounds
Mm,
that us true professionals can have. A lot of people out there don't understand what education levels that people in our positions can and should have. They're just exposed to far more like overnight experts and guru influencers
yeah.
with zero background and zero experience. They just have mastered the marketing side of the equation, and they just use lies and deception to just swing people all over the place, doing all these crazy things, diets, crazy workouts, supplement overload, taking 30 things. It's just, anyway, so you sharing that, it allows me to know whoever is watching this when I send it out, they understand why you're on here and that I rarely have guests on, and I'm only going to have somebody on who is number one, legitimate, who is going to bring value in the moment to the people that are watching this. And I know anybody who watches it and follows through with either your freebies or your coaching, that they're going to be in good hands. I don't have to worry about that. And so I appreciate you sharing the details because that's going to be very insightful for that person watching this. So on that note, I'm going to
Mind
get
if I add
to,
something really quick there,
yes,
Joey? And
please,
I
please.
appreciate that, man. But one other thing I was going to really say that's very important here is credentials matter because,
Yeah.
as you mentioned, there are people with no credentials saying whatever they want to say. But then there are also people that are very credentialed, stepping outside of their zone of expertise,
Oh
right? And
yeah,
that's why
absolutely.
I specified like I am a doctor of nutrition. That's what I study and that's what I talk about. And I'm very passionate about the training and body composition side of things because I'm also very knowledgeable on the training side of things. But we get clients all the time, and you might experience this too, Joey, where they're like, my doctor said blank, whether it's around nutrition or exercise. And when
Yeah,
they say their doctor, they're talking about their medical doctor.
right,
And medical doctors are very well trained, they're very well educated, but they are not experts in nutrition and exercise.
right.
Medical doctors get no formal training in nutrition, they get no formal training in exercise.
Mm.
So I often, man, I can't tell you how many times clients come to us and they're like, well, my doctor said I shouldn't eat carbohydrates. I'm like, please, your doctor's probably great, but don't listen to the nutritional advice because it is area specific, right?
Right.
I always use the analogy if somebody came to me, they're like, and you'd be surprised at the questions I get on Instagram
Oh,
because of
I
my
know.
expertise.
I get them
Um,
too.
it's like, should I get this type of surgery? It's like, dude, I have no clue. I seriously have no clue. Like, go talk
Right.
to your medical doctor, right? So, area of expertise is very important as well.
Absolutely. Agreed. Thank you. All right. So next question. Here we go. I'm going to go to my list here. When it comes to women dealing, well, actually, describe the first question. Describe the typical client that comes to you when they realize they need coaching to actually succeed with their fitness and health.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it's important to separate this into two different categories. And what I mean by that is the type of person we work with and then the challenges that they experience, right? Because I think the second part of that question, when you say like, what makes them realize that they need coaching, the answer to that is pretty simple. They've been trying to do it on their own and they can't, right? And the thing is with health and fitness, it's like everybody feels like they can figure it out. It's like, well, I eat, so I kind of know about food. And like
Right.
I've gone to the gym once or twice, so I kind of know about exercise. But as you and I both know, coaching goes so far beyond just telling somebody what to do. The information is important, but the guidance is equally as important.
Yeah.
We tend to work primarily with people going through transitions during midlife, right? Primarily, most of our clients are between the ages of mid 30s to low 40s, all the way up to 65, 70 years old, having goals around losing body fat, building muscle, improving body composition, but mainly because they want to feel healthy, they want to feel better, they want to be there for their grandkids. Maybe they've seen a loved one or a close relative suffer with things like diabetes or cardiovascular disease, and they want to avoid those health-related complications. I specify that because the type of person that we work with typically doesn't want to be a bodybuilder and go on stage.
Right.
And it's important to specify that because the approach, as you know, Joey, is completely different. When you're
Yep.
working with somebody who wants health and fitness to enrich their life and be part of the life versus health and fitness being their life. Two
Yes.
different things, right?
Yes.
Two very different things. And oftentimes, when you were saying earlier, there's a lot of people with not the greatest credentials, but really good at marketing. They're really good at marketing because they look fantastic physically, because health and fitness is their life and they know nothing else. And so
Right.
when they coach a client and it's like you struggle with consistency, they don't understand. And it's just like, well, you have to just like not eat this and do this. And this is the only way to do it. It's because they don't understand those additional nuances, right?
Right.
So that's the type of person we tend to work with. And then in terms of challenges, we don't, and not on purpose, but usually the type of person that we attract, it's not their first rodeo when it comes to trying to improve their health and fitness.
Right.
Not that we can't help people who are just getting started, but the people who are just getting started, unfortunately, tend to fall for a lot of the BS marketing more often
Yes.
because the promise of, hey, we are going to improve your health. It's going to be slow. We're going to focus on foundational habits. We're going to teach you how to integrate it into your lifestyle. There are no shortcuts. That's not a sexy message.
Right.
However, that is the only true message. But when you
Exactly.
compare that to a sexy message and you have no context, come on, we're gonna fall for the sexy message, right? I see this all the time as an entrepreneur, like, and being a newer entrepreneur, I hear stuff about business that sounds sexy. I'm like, that sounds really good, and then I always relate it to the health and fitness. I'm like, it sounds a little too good to be true.
Right.
But in terms of challenges, we tend to work with people who struggle with consistency, uh, who are perhaps a little bit confused navigating this whole nutrition and fitness space because there's so much contradicting information
Right.
online. Perhaps people that have tried a number of different diets, whether it's keto, whether it's fasting, whether, whatever it is, there's a new name diet every other month,
Yep.
and they struggle to actually stick to it. And we really work with people who are trying to find a more sustainable approach that fits their lifestyle. Transparently, whenever I ask a potential client, like, what about us really resonates with you? Why would you want to work with us? It's always a very similar answer. It's like, I like the educational background and I like that you really talk about sustainability and making it a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because if not, it's not going to last, right, Joey? I always tell people,
Right.
whatever it is that you do to achieve the goal, it's a very simple concept, but you need to keep doing it to be able to maintain the results.
Right.
And a good friend of mine, Dr. Lane Norton, I'm not sure if you're familiar with who he is or not. He always says people think about the diet, but they never think about the diet after the diet, meaning that like you still need to keep doing something when you're done. And if
Right.
all the stuff you're doing is restrictive and gives you short-term results, it's not going to be sustainable. So that's the general type of person we work with. And
Right.
again, the realization that they need coaching comes from the fact that they've been trying for quite some time and they realize they need to stray away from all of the sexy approaches.
Yeah. Same here. It's most of my one-on-one coaching clients, they've been through the ringer, man. We'll get on our first coaching call. I'm sure you've seen this, especially with the female clients. They end up in tears, like just
Yeah.
releasing all this history in this short time span because they realize, like I've tried and tried and tried. And then our job is to explain to them it's not your fault that that stuff all didn't work. It's not designed to work. Like you had the right intentions, but you just chose the wrong options. And really, it comes down to putting them on the correct options with the right intention. Then we start making that awesome progress. So,
I have an analogy that I use for this with everybody because you often hear Joey, and listen, is there an aspect of discipline? Of course.
yeah,
But discipline is rarely the only reason you failed.
right,
As you mentioned, you've been choosing the wrong vehicle, right? And what I usually tell people when I'm like, hey, what's going on? And they're just like, I'm lazy. I'm not disciplined. I can't stick to my diet. And I'm like, well, what diet are you trying to follow? And they tell me one of these diets. I'm like, it has nothing to do with discipline. It's the wrong vehicle. And the analogy I use is like, imagine it's a silly analogy, but just stick with me because it paints a picture. Imagine you have no idea how to bake a pizza and you want to bake a pizza, and somebody tells you, here, follow this recipe, and you will bake a pizza. And the recipe is a recipe for spaghetti and meatballs. It doesn't matter how hard you follow the recipe. You're not gonna end up with a pizza, right? It's kind of
Right.
similar, but it's like, it's not gonna be a pizza. And
Yeah.
people are just simply following the wrong recipes, leading them down the wrong avenue.
Yeah. See that time and time again. It's unfortunate, but you know how rewarding it is to take somebody out of that mess and give them clarity, give them a clear path, make it all so much easier so that they can stay disciplined and accountable for the rest of their life. And the magic happens without all the lies and the deception, just the truth. Cool. All right. So next question. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. When it comes to dealing with women who are in some stage of menopause, what's your overall approach in terms of a coaching framework for that type of woman? And guys, listen, because some of these principles are going to be the same for you as well.
Yeah, fairly similar principles. The difference is that women going through menopause are marketed in a very specific way that makes it extremely confusing.
Mm.
By the way, I'm sure you'll share my podcast. I have a whole episode on this topic specifically, and I'll just summarize here some of the big challenges. I think some of the big challenges, specifically with women going through menopause, and I think it's important to also identify the goal here. Let's say like fat loss, right?
Yeah.
Because so many women experience changes in their body during menopause and they try to lose weight. And the common thing you hear is like, what I used to do doesn't work anymore, right? And it's true, it doesn't. But it's
Mm.
because the things that you were doing before also weren't the healthiest things,
Right.
right? So women going through menopause in today's age, we're growing up what, around the 70s, 80s, right?
Yep.
And the primary message for women in that time frame was eat less, run more, be as skinny as possible.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, yeah, that works when you're younger because you're young, you're so healthy, your body's not losing muscle mass at an exponential rate. But your body obviously goes through changes during menopause, right? And so there are legitimate changes during menopause that make it more difficult to see changes. First off, estrogen, um, a loss of estrogen doesn't inherently make you gain more body fat,
Right.
but estrogen does dictate where your body stores body fat. So sometimes you'll hear women say things like, my weight on the scale actually hasn't changed much, but I have more belly fat, right? So estrogen plays a role there. When you have less estrogen or no estrogen, you're going to be storing more body fat around the midsection compared to the hips and thighs. Like for sure, your body goes through transitional changes, and I think also, Joey, it's important to accept some of the changes that your body goes through
Yep.
because aging is part of life and we should celebrate that, right? I'm a big believer in like celebrating the experiences that we go through in life rather than hating our bodies because now we're 50 and we're like there's just no good that comes from that, right? So like
Right.
accepting these changes is important. That said, it doesn't mean that you have to be doomed to like not like your body or not be able to make changes. In addition to the regional changes in terms of how our body stores body fat, menopause related symptoms can also make it more difficult, right? Mood swings can influence cravings and what sorts of foods you consume and what quantities. Hot flashes and poor sleep can impact things like your energy levels throughout the day. So you might move a little less. We know that poor sleep is also like sleep itself, sleep quality is a very important regulator of hunger and appetite regulation. So if you're chronically getting poor sleep, this is more specific to women in perimenopause where they're going through a transitional phase. You're getting poor sleep frequently, you feel fatigued. You might also be feeling hungrier or cravings for more calorically dense foods. So all of these things are very legitimate and make it more difficult. And it's case specific as well, because some women experience barely any symptoms, some women
Right.
experience a ton of symptoms. Now, when it comes to the coaching approach, this is where objectively the things that we need to focus on are not that different
Mm.
versus a woman who's not menopausal or even a man in this instance. And some women listening to this might find this a little bit controversial, but it's not. The thing is, the approach of eating less and doing more cardio is not beneficial because it sacrifices muscle health. I'm sure,
Hmm.
Joey, your followers understand how important muscle is,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And the thing is that this becomes more important during menopause, not as a byproduct of menopause itself, but as a byproduct of aging, right?
Right. Yes.
So in our mid to late 30s, if we're not training consistently and training effectively, because consistency alone isn't enough, we start to lose muscle mass at a slow rate. And with every decade of life, that rate of muscle loss exponentially increases. So for now, we're in our 40s, our 50s, maybe even our 60s, and we're not training intelligently, we are losing muscle mass. And muscle is very important for our metabolism, for having a healthy metabolism. You hear people all the time say, I have a slow metabolism. My metabolism is broken. That's another rabbit hole we can go down. Those things are objectively not true.
Right.
What is true, though, is that you may have a low energy expenditure, which is what people call slow metabolism. Anyways, it's primarily due to living a sedentary lifestyle and having low muscle mass.
Yes.
I promise you, if you put on 5 to 10 pounds of muscle, you will be able to eat so much more food and maintain a leaner physique. And it's not just about the training, it's about the nutritional approach as well, right? Because women try to restrict, 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 do cardio, do cardio, do cardio. If you're doing
Right.
a lot of cardio, you're not stimulating muscle growth. And then if you're eating so little that you're not recovering from the exercise, you are sacrificing more muscle. And
Yep.
then the other
And
part,
bone too.
and bone too, of course, bone is
Yep.
incredibly important. Yeah, and that's why I said with the objective of fat loss, right? But yes, bone is incredibly important here.
Yep.
And so another thing is there's a lifestyle factor as well, man. And I'm not going to make a generalization here, but a lot of women also around that age range like to restrict their food and then maybe have some wine in the evenings with some
Yep.
friends.
Right.
And it's like it's a compounding effect. Poor sleep, regular alcohol consumption, stress, poor lifestyle factors, restricting food, not doing the right kind of exercise. It just makes it more and more difficult for you to see the changes in your body that you want.
Right.
I'm thinking of one client here in particular. Her name is Sandra because she's been with me for about 5 years now. And I'm going somewhere here with the coaching approach because this is the exact approach we use with every single woman going through this sort of phase. When she came to me, she was a cardio bunny. Uh, like used to run marathons, loved running, and understood that she needed to track her calories and that a calorie deficit was important and all this stuff. And she would just try to like eat less and like couldn't lose weight and was stuck. Um, and we had a conversation and I told her very bluntly, I was like, Sandra, if we work together, what we're going to do is completely different. I'm not
Mhm.
going to tell you to starve yourself. I want you to actually eat enough so you're recovering from your training and we're going to focus on food quality and we're going to focus on protein. And we will still do some cardio because it's important for your health, but the majority of our training is going to be strength training. She had no experience with strength training.
Right.
Um, she was also really mentally stressed from tracking everything that she ate. So I told her, hey, we're not going to track and we're just going to focus on the habits.
Yep.
And I will say that's case depending because some people benefit from tracking, some people
Yep.
don't.
Right.
Some people need to focus on the habits first and then introduce it later on. But with her case, we didn't track because she was really stressed out by it. And I'm like, we're just going to focus on our protein. I want you to focus on these foundational habits around nutrition. I want you to eat whole unprocessed foods until you feel full and satiated with each of your meals. And dude, she lost weight. Like, I laugh because to me
Surprise,
it's like
surprise.
relatively simple, but like having that mental transition of accepting like the approach I'm going to do is completely different and it's different than what I've been told to do is very difficult,
Yes.
right? And I don't know this firsthand, but I've seen it firsthand with so many clients. And I can only imagine if you think it needs to be a certain way and somebody tells you it's a completely different way, it's difficult. But that's the general approach, man. It's like we are not going to focus on burning as many calories as possible with exercise. We're going to focus on getting strong and building muscle and progressive resistance training primarily. From there, from a nutritional perspective, we are not going to be focusing on restriction. We're going to be focusing on fueling our body and optimizing the quality of our diet to help recover from training. And then beyond that, we're going to take a more holistic approach. And it's not just going to be diet and exercise, but we need to look at the lifestyle habits and factors as well.
Right.
Alcohol consumption, stress management, like all of these external factors play a huge role in terms of not just your physiology and your body composition, but your actual behaviors and consistency with your nutrition and training. Have a
Exactly.
couple drinks, you're going to be eating some more food, right? So that's the general approach there, fairly basic, but that's why we take that approach. And those are some of the things that I think people, not people, menopausal women specifically get wrong in terms of the approach.
Yeah. Good points. So, yeah, I mean, and we're not here telling anybody who's done coaching with me, if you're a client watching this, you know this is not about restriction or
Mhm.
extreme clamping down on this awesome diet that works if you can stick with it. This is about creating a new mental paradigm on how you're supposed to fuel your body and brain so that you enjoy what you're eating and drinking. You're giving your body everything it needs for all of the health benefits that you say you want, and feeding your body and nourishing it in a way that allows it to change to get the results that you're guiding it toward in the training that you're consistently now doing, because it is doable. Very different paradigm as opposed to what most people, women and men, are learning out in the open free markets, where, the latest crazy diet and workout combo is what they've been lacking and missing, and this is the magic bullet. Ain't gonna happen. Like, so
Really
the
quickly, let me add one little thing there
yeah,
because I
please.
think it's important. Because you're talking essentially about like there are no quick fixes. It's about a lifestyle change and a mindset change.
Right,
And I think because people are going to listen to this and be like, okay, I'll eat a little bit healthier and I'll lift some weights. That's part of it. That'll get you somewhere. There's also optimization, right? The expertise is important as well. But then
right.
beyond that, the guidance and the accountability is really important for consistency and reframing your mindset as well, right? From
Yes.
somebody who wants to be healthy to somebody who is inherently healthy, who does the things as a byproduct of who they are. It's habitual. It's easy to stay with. This is
Right,
why I always say, Joey, and I'll use the word weight loss because most people have the goal of weight loss, but you and I know that it's not just about losing weight. It's really about improving your body composition. But I
right,
always tell people that losing weight and maintaining weight loss are two different skill sets.
right.
People don't struggle with losing weight. Like, here's the thing, all of those magic pills, some of them don't actually do anything, but most of the restrictive diets, you'll get some quick results. It's just that quick results not what you're looking for. Most people are looking for long-term results and they use short-term solutions. So the solution doesn't match the outcome that they're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
That's really the mismatch.
It's very temporary at best, even if it does work while it's being done. Um, the thing you mentioned about a woman going through menopause, and with the backdrop of the aging process happening during menopause, that goes over so many people's heads. And this is, I've explained this to some women who are like really, really hell bent on blaming menopause for their being out of shape, being, having excess body fat and like cellulite showing up out of nowhere, and the lethargy and the weakness and all that. And I asked, do you have any men in your life, relatives, neighbors, husband, brother-in-laws, whatever, who are around your same age, and you see them technically dealing with these same symptoms you have? And she's like, you know what? Yes, most of them who don't take care of themselves are suffering from the same exact things. And they're not going through menopause, and they're not going through this fake thing called menopause. It's just another name for a guy aging unhealthily. And it's the same deal, right? So they're like, yeah, you know what? They're not going through menopause and they're dealing with the same stuff.
And if you take that a step further, you could also ask them, do you know women that are your exact age that are taking care of themselves and feel amazing?
Yes,
Right?
right,
Because here's the thing. You can blame menopause, and you're right, because it's your perception,
right.
and nothing will change. And this is the harsh reality too, in like some of the coaching conversations that we have around taking ownership around your situation. It's like, man, some of these things for sure make it more difficult. Do some people have a harder time than others? Of course, I would never deny that and say that everybody has equal footing when it comes to this health and fitness stuff, because genetics play a huge role as well.
Right.
But you have the option to blame your circumstances and not make a change, or take ownership despite of your circumstances and make a change.
Yep.
Right. And
The
when
thing
you put it that way,
about
I think like the option is pretty simple because the first one, you just feel uncomfortable the rest of your life. The second one, you feel uncomfortable for a little bit of time because change is difficult, but you're happy on the opposite side of the
exactly.
point, right?
Yes. The thing about genetics, um, yeah, I mean, I can even say I have bad genetics, because when I've let myself go the few times in my adulthood that I did, my bad genetics really showed up. Like, right? But I was doing things, I was living my lifestyle during those certain episodes that really took advantage of my bad genetics and made it all very obvious. Now, that being said, I was also able to take myself out of those major ruts and dark periods by doing all the right things, thereby making it such that my genetics really aren't a problem. It's my lifestyle that was the major issue and my
Yeah.
choices. And so I say this because I find when I work with clients who come in with a preconceived notion that they have bad genetics, otherwise they would have or should have succeeded already, like I have to re-educate them that it's actually not your genetics. And as we go along this path and the weeks and months unfold, you're going to see that simply by doing the right things as a lifestyle is going to make you realize this has way less to do with your genetics than it does with doing the right things consistently, right? Game change,
1000%.
especially when the results start showing up, it really hits home then and they really start to get it, and that just gives them more mental emotional momentum to really like, okay, this is working, this is my thing, I found it, and we keep going. All right, I'm going to move to the next question if that's cool with you.
100%.
All right, when you are working with a client who is dealing with supplement overload, how do you address that?
Yeah, so you and I were talking a little bit before off air about this, and transparently, a lot of the clients that we work with don't come into coaching with supplement overload simply because they've been following my content for a while and have a base of knowledge,
Right.
but it happens. Um, Here's the thing, man. I also think that my objective self who wants to tell somebody, hey, just stop taking all that stuff is very different than my when I put my coaching hat on,
Right.
because I understand that um, following somebody's recommendation takes trust, and trust takes time to build.
Yes.
So oftentimes, I won't tell anybody anything about their supplements around, unless there's something that's like a big red flag,
Yeah.
or unless they've expressed like the financial burden of buying however many supplements they're taking.
Mm.
Um, I have a very educational approach. So I try to educate them. But the first thing is let's focus on these things. And now when we start doing these things, whether that's a daily step goal or healthier nutrition habits or exercising or sleep quality or whatever it is, as they start to see wins there and they start to build trust, then we revisit some of the particular supplements,
Right.
right? Because I've had a number of conversations with people who have told me, I guess like it's persuasion is an art, right?
Yeah.
Um, that have told me I'm doing X, Y, Z, whether it's supplements, whether it's whatever, and it's all wrong. And I just tell them, hey, all of that is wrong. This is what we're gonna do. You sometimes lose the person
Right.
because they have had hours and hours upon indoctrination that the thing that they're doing is the thing that they should be doing, and there's fear of not doing it. And now there's this random person they don't trust telling them they need to stop doing all that, and
Right.
it's not helpful, right? So I tend to have a more compassionate approach and take one step at a time. If somebody asks me about supplementation, my general approach is I don't tell you good or bad, I just show you the science,
Mm.
right? When it comes to supplements, the things that I tend to recommend across the board for most people would be a good creatine monohydrate supplement, a good multivitamin, a good fish oil, omega-3 supplement, right? A protein powder, which I don't even consider a supplement, I just consider it food.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, Joey, it's so case specific, right? Because even
Yes.
like vitamin D, which a lot of people can benefit from, you only benefit from it if you're deficient. Now, a lot of people are deficient, but if you're not, there's no additional benefit to it. So it's such like supplementation is very specific based off what you're currently going through and what deficiencies you have, and making sure we address those either through nutrition or supplementation. And then everything else, you and I know, like 99% of the fitness focused supplements are complete BS.
Yes.
When I say that I have a very educational approach, like a lot of people like taking supplements for fat loss.
Mm.
Mark my words, there is not one supplement that makes you lose fat. There
Right.
isn't. There isn't. Every
Right.
fat burner is a very expensive caffeine pill,
Yep.
right? They all have 400, 600 milligrams of caffeine, which, by the way, if you're taking in the middle of the day and it's impacting your sleep, cutting it out and getting better sleep will have a better impact on fat loss than the caffeine pill itself.
Exactly.
And then, yeah, and then all the other ingredients like CLA, which is a popular ingredient in fat burners, uh, whatever root extract to like, they don't do anything.
Right.
And we can get into the science of why, but man, it's just like 99% of stuff doesn't do anything. My general goal when I work with somebody who's taking 30 plus supplements is like, I'm like, okay, I know this is something we need to address. We're
Yep.
not going to address it right away unless it's a red flag. And then as they start to see wins, I'm like, hey, are you feeling a little bit better? Like you have a little more energy? Yeah. What was the supplement you were taking for energy like that? I'm like, you don't need that anymore, right? Like, let's just cut that out. And so like it's just a slow approach essentially. I'm curious, like, do you tend to have the same sort of approach when it comes to working with somebody who's taking a lot of supplements?
Yeah. So, I mean, I can answer that now if you want to use that as my Q&A.
We can go back and forth for sure because I'm curious to know
Yeah.
your perspective.
Yeah. So, especially in the last 5 to 6 years, it's become more prevalent with my one-on-one coaching clients. Before that, I didn't see it as often, or they just weren't being totally honest with me because I wasn't asking hard enough to have them disclose every supplement they're taking. Because what I found was some people are embarrassed to share their whole supplement list, because when they give me a list of like 30, 35 individual items, they have a feeling I'm not going to be too happy about that, but they know deep down, like there's no reason they should be taking this many, because they feel the daily dysfunctionality of having to like plan their day, part of their day based on their supplement intake, and that they can't forget, and they find they're taking something from the moment they wake up. Every few hours they seem to be taking something: lunchtime, pre-bedtime, dinner, right before bed. And when we get into it, I'll have the conversation with them early on in the coaching. And the main question I ask them, and I just give them the microphone after this question, I say, take me through your supplement list and quickly describe what made you decide to add this to your nutritional regimen. And so we'll go down the list, and I tell them just kind of do it in rapid fire style. Otherwise, we'll be here all day. And they give me the straight scoop. And 9 times out of 10, with most of these supplements, it's, oh, I saw this chiropractor talking about this deficiency, and if you're over 40, you can't get it any other way, and you have to take this. And then there was this other fitness influencer who said, if I want to build muscle and I'm a lady, I have to add these 3 things, and so on and so on and so on. And their in-law was a multi-level marketing product rep, and they sold them these products, and all these various stories that eventually add up to how somebody ends up taking 25, 30, 35 supplements every day. And so,
Dude, it's so prevalent. It's so frustrating. Every couple of months, it seems like there's a new super hyped up supplement.
right.
Every like year or so, there's a new big name that rises up in the industry. I
Yep.
won't name any names for the sake of like not calling people out on this podcast, but there's one person in particular, and people listening to the supplement that I'm going to bring up might know who the person is. This person like really popularized methylated B vitamins. They're just, I don't want to curse. They're just B vitamins. People like it's when somebody's like, I take methylated B vitamins, ask them, what is a methyl group? What does
Right.
methylation mean? Like they don't know. It doesn't really mean anything. It's just you have an extra carbon attached to it with 3 hydrogens. That's what it technically means. But like when your body digests it and everything, it's the same thing as a non-methylated B vitamin. The
Right.
same person was promoting. The thing is, when I tell my clients like, don't trust me. I will show you data.
Yep.
Like and trust science. And if you don't trust science, I mean, that's hard. It's hard, right? Because like I understand where the distrust comes from.
Right. Right.
I understand it, but it's like, what else are you going to trust? Some random person saying something randomly, you know? And the
Yeah.
thing is, this person also popularized like a lot of people take amino acid supplements instead of protein because a lot of people think they're cleaner. The word clean means nothing.
Right.
Um, we need all 20 essential amino acids. And so when you have a complete protein source like a whey protein, you get all those. When you just take an amino supplement, you're just getting some. It's not even nearly as equally as effective, right? And so there's marketing around aminos are digested quicker. okay, but like, why does that matter?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
Uh,
contextually speaking, like there's a hand in the grand scheme of things, there's a handful
yes.
of beneficial supplements. The rest are just junk, over marketed, overhyped crap. Contextually speaking, amino acids can make sense for somebody, and for other people, it just doesn't make any sense at all, right? But it's helping that person understand how
Yes.
it might apply to them or not apply to them, right? And so
Yes.
that's
Yes.
part of
Yes.
this
Yes.
coaching process where taking somebody in a state of supplement overload, it's a conversation. And so one of the things I ask them is, does it feel normal to be trying to take all these every day, all day? And they're like, honestly, no. Like I have anxiety. I find that when I miss things, I have like these mild panic attacks that, oh, and so that's one question that makes them start thinking, all right, none of this actually feels normal or good. Okay, fine. Like admitting that openly. The other thing is, oh, it's eluding me. Oh, I'll ask them. Okay, so we gone down your whole list. You gave me all the reasons. Now, point out the supplements that are actually fixing the thing that you started taking it for, and you know without a doubt it's working for you. And we'll start going down the list, and they'll say, "Well, no, that's not doing what it promised. That one's not doing what it promised. These three are not doing what they promised." And so it's like, well, is it worth spending $1,500, $1,600, $1,700 a month on all these things when you just said now that most of them are not, you know, for a fact they're not working and doing what they promised? And so, again, sometimes that happens quickly with the client who knows they're doing everything wrong and they just need to be told how to like do the first clean wipe of what we're going to correct right out of the gates. And some of them are open to this supplement reset. There are some people, like you said, who are very connected to this regimen they've built for themselves and the reasons why, even though the reasons were wrong, they're still tied to them. So with that kind of person, it takes more of that um, slow burn, going through the process. Weeks and months progress. They realize that they're making the best progress that they've ever made in their life. Now they're open to hearing more suggestions on what to change, remove, replace, or totally cut out. Right. And so then we can go to round two and start making those cuts and adjustments there.
Yeah.
To the listener
The other thing I
tuning in
would,
right now, and as you're watching, we're not against supplements.
yeah,
Like some of you already know, I created my own daily foundational essential multivitamin mineral with a few other things added in. Dr. Joey never recommends anybody cut out everything because there are some essentials that, number
of
one,
course.
they're actually good to have. And actually, some people do need certain essentials on a day-to-day basis. But it's a matter of trimming back the overload that we believe works against most people because you're cramming in all this unnecessary, very questionable stuff into your microbiome and making everything you're doing that much harder when you're jamming all this stuff into your body. So,
It's not that supplements don't do anything. It's that the marketing around supplements is ridiculous.
right.
That's really what it is, right? Dude, I saw a supplement the other day, Joey. It wasn't even a supplement. It was, eh, I will also say, I think it comes from people wanting to find shortcuts because
Yes.
some of the marketing is so blatantly wrong that it's obvious that it's wrong. I
Right.
saw a keto chocolate, and this keto chocolate is great for weight loss. And not only that, Joey, you'd be mind blown to hear this. They're making money because they have a ton of ads over Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. The more of it you eat, the more weight you lose. Word for word on the ad. And I'm like, how does Facebook not allow me to advertise a before and after of my client who has an amazing transformation? Yet you can say that the more keto chocolate you eat, the more weight you lose.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. It's very crazy. So that's the one thing that really bothers me. And the
Yeah.
other thing that I think is very common sense is that if any of these supplements were even nearly as effective as they promise to be, they would be the world's most popular supplement. Everybody would be taking it, and it wouldn't be a supplement over the counter. It would be a controlled drug. It would,
Right.
right?
Yep.
There's a reason why the new GLP-1 medications are not an over-the-counter supplement
Right.
because they are extremely effective.
Right.
Nothing that is extremely effective is just a supplement, but every
Yeah.
supplement is marketed as extremely effective. With all the GLP-1 drugs now, there are supplements that are like boost GLP-1, and people are like, "Oh my God." It's
I
like, okay,
know.
like that means nothing because to what degree? How
Right.
much does it boost it to? Does it actually even boost it? Is there science to support it? Eating fiber boosts GLP-1, but it's
Right.
like people don't understand the nuance, so they fall for the marketing, which is unfortunate and sad in
Yeah.
many cases.
Very unfortunate. So before I get to the last question, um, anybody tuning in, when we give you the links for the free Fit for Life blueprint and to inquire straight out of the gate for a possible coaching spot with Joey and his team, um, when you go follow him through the blueprint, you'll most likely get links to his social media channels. And I'm going to tell you right now, like just his Instagram alone is an educational feed that I appreciate watching and that I wish we would see more of. And so I'll actually share links to his socials. In the email that goes out with this, and I'll try to get them into the links as well in the description for the video posted
I
on the podcast.
appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. No, I'm dead serious. Like I get a kick out of your content because I don't know who does your editing, but it's done in a way it's perfect. It gets the message across. You highlight what you have to highlight. You illustrate what you have to illustrate. And even more so, like you're saying the things that I would be saying. I just don't have the patience to produce those cool videos that you produce the way you produce them. And so it's like, I'm like, yeah, I'm nodding my head every time I'm watching because it's what I want other people to see and hear. So we
Thank
will
you.
make sure you get those links either directly today through the email or underneath this video in the description.
Yeah, and the blueprint, I want to talk about this for a second because it's expansive.
Mhm.
But I, not to be biased, but I think if you really read through it and you apply the contents in the blueprint, um, it'll help a ton. Uh, it's not just about nutrition and exercise. There's a section on nutrition. There is a section on how to properly resistance train to optimize muscle mass. Obviously, it's not personal training where I'm teaching you in person or anything like that, but the principles are there in terms of like programming and proper technique and things to focus on. So good solid foundation there. But beyond that, there's so much more that goes to this into this stuff, right? So there's a whole section where I talk about like mindset and what
Mhm.
we tend to call a oriented mindset, which means having a growth mindset, being open to trying new things, focusing on the process versus the outcome. So like the general sort of perspective that you should be approaching health and fitness with so that you actually enjoy this and it becomes a healthy part of your lifestyle. There's a
Yes.
whole section on how to develop healthy habits. Because another thing that people struggle with, Joey, is tackling too much at once.
Right.
And we know that from the science of habit formation, you're way more likely to develop a habit if you focus on one thing at a time and how to do that in a way where like it's rewarding. So there's a section on that. And then there's a section which I think is really interesting and people don't talk about is how to modify your environment for
Mhm.
success
Right.
because our environment plays a huge role, specifically when it comes to our eating habits, our at-home food environment. How do you
Yeah.
organize your food in your fridge, in your pantry? What are you leaving out all the time?
Right.
What sorts of food do you have at home all the time? Like it's little things that you can just make small changes that will have a big impact on your eating behaviors. Because the more you're tempted, the more you're going to quote unquote fall off your diet. So it's really optimizing your environment so you're as least tempted as possible. Anyways, I
Yeah.
cover all that in the book. It's super helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. These are things that we do, people like us do,
Naturally.
like without even thinking about it. And so coming to the realization that the things that we don't even think about, we just do on autopilot, those are the subtle
Yeah.
key things that we need to teach people how to
Yes,
do,
dude.
right?
It's like, I always tell people, because it's like, I don't restrict any food. I
Right.
allow myself to have whatever I want. But
Amen.
saying that, sometimes people are just like, yeah, but how do you in practice, like, how do
Right.
you moderate your food intake? And so I've taken a lot of time to think about that. I'm like, well, if I want ice cream, I will eat ice cream. I just don't keep ice cream in the house. So
Right.
if I want it, I will go get it. But the fact that I have to get dressed, get in the car, go get it, I'm way less likely to eat it. But if I
Right.
really want it, I'll go get it.
Right.
Right. So it's like,
It's not off limits.
exactly. I add friction in areas for behaviors that I want to do less of, and I reduce frictions for behaviors that I want to do more of. And so
Amen.
that's what that lifestyle section really covers.
Yeah, yeah, good stuff. So, oh, but before we get to the last question, anybody who inquires about coaching with Joey and his team, because he does have a team who he oversees that delivers most of the coaching. Very, very good team. And if Joey's overlooking them, you're in good hands. You can, if you want to, use my training programs in Total Access or Naked Beauty, Ultimate Leg Butt Hip and Thigh Makeover. You can use my fitness training programs to be coached by Joey and his team. So it's not like, oh, I might not be able to do Joey Atlas's programs if I'm going to be coached with them. No, you can do whatever style of training you want, which means if you're doing my stuff, you're going to want to do mine. They can still fully coach you through your program all the way to success, regardless of which program training that you want to follow.
That's such a great point. Um, because like what we really focus on is practicality and meeting people where they're at, Joey, right? Like we can design your whole exercise program, but if you're already doing something you enjoy and you want to keep doing that, like it's not like you have it's yes, we work around what your preferences are. And I bring that up because Joey, obviously we're having this conversation, but we have conversations with people that are like, I do this group fitness 45 classes and I enjoy them. Do I have to stop that? And I'm like, no, please, if you like it and you enjoy it, we might incorporate some additional things, but we want you to continue
Right,
that.
right.
So yeah, that's a really great point to bring up.
Awesome. Very cool. All right, last question. Here we go. How would you describe your ideal client who would see incredible success in your coaching program?
Oh man, fantastic question. There's so much that comes to mind, but I want to keep it super simple.
Okay.
Somebody who's committed and coachable. Those are
Mhm.
the two things. What do I mean by that? Commitment is so important, man, right? Because Joey, what I realize so many times is people say they want something, but their behaviors do not line up with what they want,
Right,
right? And so really have a conversation with yourself to truly understand whether improving your health and fitness and getting in shape is something you really want. Because the truth is that we want to make it as easy as possible, but there are changes, and those changes have to be worth it. So it's
right,
like, this has to be a priority, this has to be a commitment. And I use the word commitment intentionally because when I talk to a potential client and we're going to talk about moving forward, I always ask them the question, like, are you committed to doing this? And oftentimes, they'll bring up, well, I have a fear of like maybe falling off and stuff and like things not going perfectly. And commitment does not mean things will go perfectly. Commitment means that you're putting your best effort forward. Because the truth is that like, if you do anything for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, there are going to be screw ups. Nobody's perfect. That's that's something you need to understand. It just means that you're going to work through those things and not give up because you are committed. And then what I mean by coachable is being coachable, being truly open to following somebody's guidance.
right.
How many times, Joey, have you worked with a client who says they're coachable, but they're not?
Mhm.
Meaning they come to you with particular challenges. You understand why those challenges are. You explain why we're going to do things differently, and they're just unwilling to do those things
Yep,
because they feel like potentially they know better or they have doubt. It's like, how can you have doubt if you haven't actually tried, right? So being coachable simply means if you are going to invest in a professional guiding you, be committed and be actually open to following the guidance that they give you
right.
while understanding that they, for us for sure, but hopefully whatever profession you work with has your best interest in mind, because that's really important as well, right?
Yeah,
So those are the two
exactly.
characteristics that I would say really set somebody up for success, because if you are committed and you are coachable, it does not matter what your knowledge base is. It does not matter what limitations you have. It does not matter what obstacles you have, because we will bring our expertise and help you navigate those effectively.
That's exactly it. And most people do struggle with those various types of obstacles. They're kind of universal. It's just that each person has their own unique version of that obstacle or sticking
Mhm.
point or issue. Um, the committed and coachable, as simple as those are, is as important as they are. And like part of the initial coaching consultations, or like, I don't know what you call it yours, I do those to see, is this person actually really committed and are they coachable? And then I will talk about my coaching plan offerings with them. Because if they're not, I'm not going to do them any good. And I'm certainly not going to do myself any good because I get emotionally involved in the coaching of my
Big
clients. Like,
time.
this is personal for me,
Big
right? And
time.
so yeah, you get it.
I
So
think as coaches, part of our job, a big part of our job, is instilling belief in clients that what they want to do is actually achievable because they themselves don't believe in themselves, right?
exactly.
And if
So
you are not emotionally invested, you can't instill that belief and trust in the client. And if they are not coachable, you can't be fully invested, right? So those are
exactly.
definitely prerequisites.
Yeah. So and the thing about commitment, being committed and coachable, you said this, that we're not talking about perfection, being committed and dedicated to perfection, because not even you or I are perfect. Like, and
No,
and the cool thing is we don't have to be. A client doesn't have to be, because all you're aiming for is doing everything properly for the most part versus improperly all the time, or trying improperly all the time. Doing things properly gives you the latitude and the flexibility to not have to be perfect. And before we wrap this up, I'll give you an example. I have a relatively new client. I've been coaching, we're probably in our second month now. And major challenges coming into this, past history, relationship dynamics that create other mental aspects
sure.
of things. And so that just everything's rolled into the big package of the challenge that we have to meet as a coach to help overcome. And I would say she's been maybe 65% perfect versus 100. And last night we did a quick check-in coaching call, and she's like, "You're not going to believe this." She said, "Or maybe you will, but I don't believe this." She said, "My husband said my body is starting to change. He's seeing things happen." And she said, "I went to go shopping for a pair of pants yesterday, and I really thought I was going to be a 16, 18." She said, "I slipped into 14s, and I don't know how that happened, but I double checked the tag. I took them off, got another 14 of the same style. I tried that on." She said, "I'm getting into 14s." And she's like, "I didn't think I'd be able to do this in less than 2 months, let alone not being perfect for the time that we've been doing this together yet. I'm making progress." And I said, "Okay, here's the point in this. This is for the rest of your life. You never have to be perfect for this stuff to work. You just have to do the right things consistently as a lifestyle. 65% right, 70, 75. Sometimes you'll nail 80, 85% right for 2 months on end, and you'll make some accelerated progress. But even at 65, 70% perfect, you're going to still reach your goals."
That's such a great point, man. 65% perfect for 100 days is better than 100% perfect for one day.
It's
Ever.
radically,
Yeah.
dramatically different.
And
And man, when people experience that, a whole new spirit is released in that person. Like, they start to come to life again when they realize, I might succeed this time because it's already happening.
yeah. And Joey, the other part of this that I always say is that like this concept of what perfect is with nutrition or with exercise is like the wrong idea of perfect anyways. And when we talk about like, mindset and approach and perspective, one of the things that I find that our clients find really freeing is when we tell them that what they consider screwing up is normal and it actually should be part of the plan.
Right,
Because here's what happens. People are so hard on themselves that they allow a small event to derail them for weeks and months,
right.
right? So, man, I've been on my diet perfectly for the past month, and I'm so nervous because I'm going to a wedding. And every time I go to a wedding, I like
Amen.
help myself with alcohol and food. Now they go to the wedding, and in their mind, they've made it this massive deal. They fail themselves because inherently maybe they ate a little bit more than they wanted to or drank a little bit more than they wanted to. Now they feel horrible because they think they've screwed up.
Yeah,
And now they let that feeling of guilt and negativity carry them through for the next couple of weeks or the next couple of months before they get back on track. And it's
right.
not the one event that screwed them up. It is now the time afterwards that it takes them to get right back on track.
Yeah,
Whereas I can't tell you how many times I've had this conversation with clients, Joey, and it's just like, hey, the work that you've been putting over the past month, it's taking you a month to get here. Do you like it wouldn't have happened in one day, right? No. Then why is one bad day? I'm like, just listen, you have full permission to just enjoy the wedding,
right.
right? And the thing is, when they give themselves permission, interestingly enough, they usually have healthier choices anyways, because
Yes,
it's coming from a place of I am choosing to do things versus I cannot do things. Again, that's a mental reframe that's really important. You
absolutely.
choose to limit certain things because you are choosing to live a healthier lifestyle. You are not avoiding certain things because you can't have them, right? And
Right.
when that switch happens, it's so much easier to just be like, okay, I enjoyed the wedding. Maybe I had a little bit more to drink than I wanted to. I feel a little bit hungover today, whatever. But I'm right back on it tomorrow. It's not a big
Yep.
deal, right? And it's like it's these little subtle things that I think is really beneficial when somebody works with a good coach. And that's why I always tell people that coaching is not just information. And that's why my blueprint has all the information that I share with clients. Like there is nothing additional to the blueprint. It's
Right.
like it's really helping people apply it into their lifestyle
Yeah.
consistently and in a healthy fashion.
Yeah. So speaking of the blueprint, you can scroll down. I'm gonna put it in the description under this video. If you didn't get it via email, I'm gonna put it in the first pinned comment. I'll also put the link to inquire about coaching with Joey and his team, and you will want to do that if you've ever inquired with me and found that I'm out of your pricing category and I'm way above your budget. Totally understandable. Joey and his team have a different approach, a different system that allows them to price their coaching plans on a more affordable level, just saying it plainly as it is.
Yeah.
So I would urge you, if you need coaching and you're still spinning your wheels, go check that link, go inquire. Um,
Let me actually share something really
yeah,
quick, Julie, about a
please.
promo that we're about to start running in about 13 days. So we're recording this on the 7th. I'm assuming this will probably go live in a couple of days,
Yep,
more or less. We
yep.
are about to launch this is actually perfect timing. We're about to launch what we call our Start Strong promotion. We do this every year. It's the best promotion we run every year. Transparently, it is the only promotion we ever run every year. And the reason we do this is to incentivize people to take action before the holidays because everybody wants to start January 1st. And then January 1st comes around and you're 10 pounds heavier because you ate like crazy over the weekend, not over the weekend, over the holidays, didn't develop healthy habits. And the truth is that you can enjoy the holidays and still make progress. It's not one or the other. The travel, the food, you can enjoy those things and still make progress. So the promotion that we run is if you sign up for 6 months of coaching, the 6 months that you invest in don't officially start counting till January 1st, but we coach you for free the rest of the year. So that could be something that people could take advantage of. It's
Yeah.
up
All
to
right.
6 weeks
Well,
of free coaching. Yeah.
what's the date that that launches?
Live the 17th, 10 days from now,
17th.
and it
All right.
runs till the end of November.
Yeah, I'll get this published and emailed out before the 17th for sure. So, for those of you tuning in, if you enjoyed this, if you have any other questions, please post for me and Joey in the comments. Follow the links down below to get the goods that we talked about and to inquire about coaching. Joey and I, we've never met, although we've spent a lot of time on Zoom in these discussions. We are going to meet in about a month, I believe,
Hmm.
in Austin, Texas, at a group that we are a part of. So I'm looking forward to that, brother. We'll see you in about a month.
Looking
And
forward to it too.
yeah, likewise. So thank you for making the time for this, Dr. Joey Munoz. And maybe we'll do another one again in the future.
Dude, anytime. Honestly, I love conversations. I always think of you talk about my Instagram videos. I could just do this and then clip it into Instagram videos because it's so much easier. But I
True, true.
appreciate you having me on, man.
All right. Peace, brother. We'll talk soon.